In deep state USA, the FBI doesn't solve crime, it manages crime. The CIA doesn't collect intelligence, it collects people. The courts don't meet justice, they deny it. The news doesn't report the news, they contort it. The deep state doesn't serve, it enslaves. But slavery is a choice. A slave submits. The cage is safe. Chains certain. Freedom is dangerous. The opposite of slavery is freedom. The opposite of a slave is a warrior. The enslaver demands submission. Say as you are told. Do as you are told, or else. The slave submits. A warrior refuses to submit. A warrior is dangerous, free, uncontrollable, unstoppable, relentless. I will never be a slave. I am a warrior. What are you? I'm also ex-DEA and DIA retired SOCOM soldier, deep state targeted, turned whistleblower warrior, sabotaged and slandered, betrayed and saved, rejected and redeemed. As teacher and truth teller, now America's intelligence officer, resisting tyranny in obedience to God, welcoming like-minded patriots, training next generations to infill corrupted agencies, and St. Martin them, inside out, bottom up, co-opting conquerors in Christ. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Hey, welcome everybody. Lots to cover today. Please go to the Rumble Rant and subscribe not just to my Rumble and my X, but also to my YouTube. I've been shadow banned there and throttled, and I'd like to build those numbers. The show is free, so if I can get it back to where I can get pay for that, that would be very helpful. So I'd appreciate that. It's in the comments. Lots to cover today. I'm going to jump right into it. But before we do, please check out my Substack, which is free, which was also part of my sermon on Sunday at christchaplaincy.com. We just celebrated the presentation of Yeshua in the temple and also the purification of Mary that happened on Monday. And I talked a lot about why it is important to socialize your children to going to church so they can find church later on, just like my kids are being raised homesteading. And if they go into the city or go overseas, they can always come back to homesteading. It's much the same with church. So even though we're a chaplaincy and we're online, yes, I'm encouraging you to take your kids to church. I also went over lots of different forms of prayer and how we do the highest and hardest prayer, which is contemplative prayer, highest because it's God responding to us, not us responding to God. And you got to shut up to do that. You got to turn off your active mind and actively listen. And it's also the hardest because that's also the hardest thing to do. So anyway, the real answer is always spiritual, not physical, not legal, not political, because we live in a fallen world that's always going to remain fallen. That seems to be really fouling up a lot of people right now. So highly encourage you to go to my Substack or to go to Christ Chaplaincy, where you can actually see the video sermon. So there's a lot of stuff out there. The title is Epstein released to blackmail Trump on Iran just backfired. So I'm actually kind of hopeful about that. Then also the subtitles are Troops to Beijing Signal Civil War. And then Iran, Russia, and China doing joint naval ops. That's how you project power overseas. That's all against America, by the way. And did SeamTeal 6 murder FBI agents in Mexico? Certainly looks like it from the Epstein release. And the MOSAAD-KUSHNER-CHABAD LUBAVITCH run Trump reveal in the FBI 302 report. And then finally, I have on retired Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, a legend, to talk about the Minnesota shooting in detail and all these other topics as well. So lots to get into. I'm going to jump right in. Iran, China, Russia plan joint naval exercise in the Gulf of Oman, Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is key for shipping. This is going to be happening. Started January 9th through 16th, multinational naval exercise of Peace Will 2026, conducted under South African host ship in waters and airspace near the country's coast, with prominent participation by China, Russia, and Iran. This is crucial to everything else I'm going to be talking about because Russia, China, and Iran now have aligned with Iran against the United States. And this is, of course, to weaken America's empire hegemony in the area. And no, China will not intervene directly to save Iran. It may be indirectly, unrestricted warfare, which I've talked a lot about, stealthy via multi-pronged strategy through infamous dealing with the devil-type rescue of economically unstabilized, destabilizing countries. For example, the debt trap diplomacy via its Belt and Road Initiative, which officially enshrined in its constitution. Through coercion, it works to expand Xi's global reach and influence plan, and it has influenced Canada in that way, for example. Ropo says Colin McDonald was a homeschooled child. Our San Diego homeschooling are proud and hopeful. Yeah, well, I homeschool my wife homeschools our children, and so lots of stuff coming out of the Epstein release from on Friday, and I've been studying a lot of it, and a pattern is emerging from that, and the biggest pattern is this Epstein release looks like it was to damage Trump and the Trump administration in particular, because a lot of others are still covered up, and that looks like it was because Trump has balked at further war with Iran. And it looks like he's balked at further war with Iran because of the alliance of China, Russia with Iran now. But there's plenty of evil in there. The world is full. The world elite are all pedophiles. It may include Trump. There's allegations of him having oral sex from a 13-year-old, and then she bit him and he slapped her. And head of security, who I've talked about before, if it's the same head of security back then, was threatening her with her family being killed. There's other allegations. Now, not everything in the release is going to be true. Remember, I told you about being a duty agent, how you rotate on a duty, and you deal with all the crazies. So some of the stuff is just partial reports or reports of crazies, but some of it really authenticates and legitimizes what a lot of us have been saying for years. So one is pizza. Pizza's all over it. Pizzagate is back in the news. For years, the idea of powerful, well-connected elites might be involved in organized child exploitation was treated like something only kooks talked about. But sorry, it turns out that that is true. Australia authorities announced the dismantling of a child exploitation network operating out of Sydney that wasn't framed as a lone offender. Police described it as an organized group operating internationally using encrypted platforms and trafficking some of the most disturbing materials imaginable. And John Schindler, who writes under the name 20 Committee on his Substack, Top Secret Umbra. And Umbra is what he's saying by that keyword is he's showing his credentials, which are legitimate. I won't say that the Top Secret, that Umbra is a code word. I'm just saying that him using that shows his legitimacy in the intelligence community, because I'm not going to reveal any classified information. But this pedophile gang employed encrypted apps. When the New South Wales police announced the arrest, they went all out. They didn't, like in America News and FBI, cover everything up. They publicly described it as a group, as a satanic international child sex abuse ring. And so that's what we really have on Epstein Island. I talked about this a long time ago when I was still on the radio. I actually showed videos of two pairs of little girls in frilly outfits. They're about 8 in the temple, cleaning, dumping pitchers of water on there. So they're hiding all that. We know there's death because Todd Blanche, I think, is the assistant attorney general, said, yeah, we're not going to show that stuff. So we know there is killing that has happened. Basically, everything there's also allegations of cannibalism, Satanism, which all seem to be legitimized. I talked about the graves that appeared on Epstein Island a long time ago, and then they built the tennis court over it, way far away from anything that was happening. I don't think the tennis courts ever had a game of tennis played on it, and there's berms all around it. So there was a satanic panic back in the 1980s. That's really from the finders, which a very senior FBI agent verified as true. But when a story sounds strange, uncomfortable, or embarrassing, it's easiest to disprove it by humiliating it, by mocking it. But it turns out that all of this is proved. These elites live on adrenaline. And so when you have so much money and so many partners and so many people kowtowing to you, what's the next thing you can do? Well, you can abuse children in front of everybody and just get away with it. That's what they're doing. They're flaunting their power. They're also flaunting their transgenderism a lot of times. Looks like, for example, Michelle Obama having that done as an adult and then doing the dance there, where you can see genitalia moving. And so the Clintons, by the way, are going to testify, but that nothing will come of that because Congress is paid off as well. But this has really exposed the elites as pedophile monsters. And it is certainly not a good look for Trump. Are these allegations true? I don't know. Not all of the allegations in this release will be true. They are just reports, and a lot of the reports are going to be crazy. Earl Jackson, I see you there on X. Chinese secretly delivers HQ-9B air defense systems to Iran. See that. Thanks for that as well. Is Mamdani a Epstein baby? Looks like it could be. That could be true as well. So the biggest. So this is a win for the American people because this stuff is still coming out. We've said this is our line in the sand. This is where this stuff needs to happen, and we're not going to want to cover up for intelligence agencies. And there's been, I don't know who she is. I guess she's some kind of rapper or pop star, Nicki Minaj. Are you all understanding these people have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and maintaining power? And so, that's not sounds like a particularly religious Christian, but all of that is true. So all of the things that a lot of liberty luminaries and even Q kooks have said over the years, and again, I covered this stuff when I was still on the radio, are being legitimized and is showing true. Even Hollywood publicist Peggy Signal offered to bring Jeffrey Epstein's a little black baby or two back from her trip to Africa to show you how evil these people are. Although they didn't want any black girls on Epstein Island, by the way. And she said, boys or girls, so Madonna to Epstein. So the elite look at the non-elite as cattle to be used and their children to be used however they wish as well. And of course, that's the way Andrew and the Royals look at that. I also published on X a little semi-naked boy escaping the palace. So that's really, really crucial to understand. But the troops, there have been a lot of troop movements into Beijing, a lot of highways shut down. A lot of people think that Xi is in trouble. There's been a lot of gunfire going on. So there may be a civil war going on inside China. And so that may be why General Zhang Yuya was arrested, and he's probably dead by now. Most of the Chinese experts are saying he's likely dead. But, Xi may choose actual physical confrontation with America via Iran to stabilize his regime. It could happen. But The day after Epstein's death, which it may not be a death, there's also a witness saying that he saw Epstein carried out. We saw the difference in the nose and the ear as well. And again, all of this is on X. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman of the SDNY opened a grand jury proceeding and subpoenaed 4chan, Apple, and AT&T and Citibank for records aiming to uncover Grijalva's identity. And this is the witness that was saying that he witnessed a movement in a wheelchair, a medical wheelchair, Friday evening, someone shackled in a medical wheelchair and being moved out while someone else was moved in. So are we getting the whole truth? No way. We are certainly not getting the whole truth at all. Are we ever going to get the whole truth? No, we are not. But we are getting more and more because we have demanded it. Now, one of the most important FBI memos is a declassified memo from the Epstein files, says that Trump was compromised by Israel, that convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein worked for Israeli intelligence, that a Jewish religious group calling itself Chabad LUBAVITCH sought to hijack his first term in office. These are all things I've talked about in detail. Memo was written in 2020, formed as part of an FBI investigation into domestic or foreign influence over U.S. elections process. CHS advised, and so that's the confidential human source. CHS advised Chabad is doing everything they can to co-opt Trump's presidency, the memo states regarding his term. Chabad Lubavitch is a religious Jewish sect founded in Russia, has grown to an estimated 90,000 members, has that big temple. That's where they were taking out the blood-stained mattresses. And they were talking about how they were trying to revive a corpse to bring back the spirit of their founder that they believe is the Messiah. And it says that on the day Trump was elected, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner were at the gravesite of Rabbi Schneerson. That's who they were trying to revive. The most powerful rabbi in Chabad Lubavitch. The memo also says Epstein worked with U.S. and foreign intelligence. Epstein was close to former Prime Minister Israel Ehud Barak. They've talked about, there's lots of emails to him. In fact, there's one saying, you have permission to kill this person. It's probably from Ehud Barak telling Epstein it's okay to kill somebody. And in one small exchange, Epstein wrote, "You should make it clear I don't work for Mossad," with a smiley, with a colon and a parens for a smiley face. And Barak replied, "You're right." And Epstein responded that I don't, smiley face as well. And remember those document leaks that claimed that Epstein's 2008 plea deal, describing an alleged conversation involving his lawyer, pro-Israeli academic Alan Dershowitz, who was on the island as well, and then federal prosecutor Alex Acosta, who was told Epstein belonged to intelligence. So all of that fits very clearly. So the United States government, the republic is fallen. It's an empire that's failing. The government is run by the double government or the deep state, which is the intelligence community. And that intelligence community is compromised by the global cabal, as in Kabbalah, deep state, primarily Mossad and Israel. So that's what I've been saying for a long time. And I think all of this bears that out very clearly. So I've been in disagreement with my friend Mike Adams on the Minnesota shootings quite a bit, and some other, and Sean SGT. We're all friends, but we disagree respectfully. So hopefully I'm going to have Colonel Grossman on to back up my claims, because I'm really citing his work in that regard. But Mike put out something recently that I totally agree with it. And he says, it seems very clear now that Trump has lost control of his administration, and the DOJ is answering to Netanyahu, who ordered the release of the latest batch of the Epstein files. So Netanyahu ordered Mossad. Mossad's inside FBI released that, and they released it. They took it down, or there was something wrong with the site, and then they put it back up. But Mike is saying Trump's DOJ has clearly turned against him, which means Plan Bondi is functioning exactly as Israel needs. The enforcer of Netanyahu's will against American interests. And if Trump attacks full force, Israel will make sure financial markets surge again, restoring the illusion of wealth. That may come about. If Trump refuses to attack Iran, then they'll remove him from power with another round of damning document dumps. He says, America's an occupied nation. The people we elect aren't in charge at all. And my friend Ann Vanderstel agrees with me on that. But I have something of a different take on that. And that is the people who hated Trump before, the never Trumpers, are going to see these allegations against Trump about this 13-year-old oral sex, about this non-condom thing. And they're going to hate him anyway. The ever-Trumpers who were for Trump can do no wrong aren't going to change their mind. Is it good this stuff comes out? Yes, because Trump is not the Messiah. Trump is not the golden boy. Trump is just another ally until he is not. But is there more dirt to be had on Trump is the real question. And if so, will it work? So that's the real key here to all of this. And so that's why I say that did Epstein release to blackmail Trump on Iran just backfire? So they've released some pretty bad stuff. They may have more stuff to release, but I think Trump has refused to budge on more war with Iran because, one, he's already bombed Iran as Israel wanted. He did what they asked once. Now he's got a triad of power, of world power, of China and Russia against, of course, Russia is very strong. We've been waging a proxy war against Russia through Ukraine for quite some time now. And of course, Russia has been winning that, will win that. There's no doubt about that as well. Trump's tariff war with China has worked fairly well. It's the only effort to ever go against the unrestricted warfare doctrine. And I've given him a lot of credit for that. And it does look like China may be teetering on the brink to fall. So does that give Xi a motivation to then physically align naval forces with Russia against America over there in the Strait of Hormuz, and maybe even Taiwan? In America, no. But over there, yes. Why? To hold his power base together, which is falling apart. So, but by releasing this stuff, I think because these people don't study human nature, they don't believe in human fallen nature, they don't study scripture, they don't study history, I think the opposite effect may have just happened with Trump. After everything Trump has done for Netanyahu, after everything Trump has done for Israel, after everything Trump has done for Mossad, when he balked on this, which he's already done it. He already did it once. And they come after him like this. He actually may be waking up and he may actually hold his ground on this. Trump is very stubborn. He is very egotistical. He is a big counterpuncher. And they have essentially kicked him in the groin, pun intended there. So how does he normally respond to that? Does he give in to that? No, he does not normally give in. Now, it could be, as Ann Vanderstel has said, that they have hidden nukes in America that they can threaten to set off to kick this war off with Iran. It's clear that we've been waiting for this war. There were Israeli generals with American generals in the Pentagon last week after the release. Why do you think that was? That was, hey, this is what we're going to make happen. But I think these Israeli Mossad Netanyahu planners may have just misread Trump's character, and Trump may not go ahead. So what will we see? We will not see then, if I'm reading this right, Trump go into Iran war. It was supposed to already have happened. That's clear. And more releases on Trump. So that's good. Whether they're true or not, that's good. We should see the truth about all this. Earl Jackson says the purpose of the tabletop exercise of tidal wave Azure Dragon was to identify critical gaps and deficiency in U.S. military capabilities and limited nuclear war over Taiwan initial exercise. Yeah, there are doctrines now talking about limited nuclear war. If it's a low yield warhead, if it's not an air blast, it would not have that big effect. My one book, Chase, Terror on the Border, talks about bringing a small atomic demolition munition, a SATM, which was a backpackable nuke that Special Forces had a mission to bring across. And it's not like intercontinental ballistic missiles with air releases. So for right now, because I am hopeful, because I am faith-filled, I see this as a very positive step. And I think they have maybe have misread Trump on this, and he may actually be his own man for a change, which I think is what we saw in the first Trump administration. So you can disagree with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. We will see, but there's a lot more. Sorry, I am just having difficulty with my health. My wonderful wife's taking great care of me, but just got a rough patch, and I'm having trouble getting over. There were also FBI documents that were quoting message traffic that were saying how guys in white vans that came back to the Mexican embassy of the United States had shot a couple of FBI agents, and it looked like that was Marchenko, who was the founder of SEAL Team 6. And from everything I know about Marchenko, that would not surprise me. I've heard a lot of SEALs say a lot of bad things about him. Whether it's the guy who starts the SAS, who I can't think of who that is right now, or it's Beckworth who starts Delta. These guys are troublemakers, but Marchenko was actually a convicted felon and a really nasty person. And operators don't have any moral input into the missions they get, and they certainly don't really care about that. They're all into the execution, into the wet work. So this is a really good look behind, pulling up the curtain. Of course, I've been criticizing, the SEALs for a long time in a lot of great detail, and trying to straighten people out and stop this ridiculous public image they have and tell the truth. The whole lone survivor, Luttrell thing, being a fraud as well. So the Epstein release to blackmail Trump on Iran may have just backfired. The troops in Beijing all over, and all these highways shut down, may be signaling internal civil war. Lots of firing going on, which could, in desperation, lead Xi to physical confrontations along with Russia and Iran in Strait of Hormuz and over Taiwan, because there's the rally around the flag phenomena that happens at that point. And what seems very likely is MOSAAD-KUSHNER-CHABAD, LUBAVITCH, running Trump. That makes a great deal of sense. The silver attack last week on Thursday, and if you saw my Friday interview with Sean and SGT, he was really upset about that because they really manipulated the price of gold and silver, dropped it precipitously to stabilize their fiat currency, which isn't working at all anymore. And this was really a psyop. This was really a psychological attack to try and say, hey, your physical silver and gold isn't worth it. This was a deliberate psychological terror campaign, a controlled demolition designed to engineer a stampede of fear. The goal was clear: to panic the holders of paper silver derivatives, the ETFs, future contracts, leverage positions into selling their assets at a catastrophic loss. While these paper traders were being cleaned out, a different class of investors saw the event for what it was: a monumental buying opportunity to acquire physical metal at a steep artificial discount. As the dust settled with silver at a robust $79.39 per ounce, the true victors are those who held their reserve and tangible assets. So yeah, I have silver, I have gold. I recommend you have that. I don't recommend anything paper, but a lot of commentators do that, but I just see too many problems with that, so I don't recommend that. I've done in my many collapse seminars, talked about the details of all of that, and I had people sending me state gold ounces as well. So this was time-tested, a blueprint for market manipulation. JP Morgan was behind this, and that's the biggest thing that really was not really announced about the Epstein files. Well, of course, the murder, rape, and trafficking of children is a terrible sin, but what Epstein was really best at was money laundering. And there's also the Steve Bannon interview, and I've also called Steve Bannon out for a long time, because there's a whole bunch of Bannon fans, the same ever-Trumpers are the same Bannon fans, where he was praising Epstein, as a genius, which, he wasn't. He was explaining simple economics. And, and wanting to work with him and reform him after he'd been convicted. Real strange interview. By the way, it's a new month, so go to teamamericacoffee.com, staybrewedcoffee.com, get the best coffee out there. Not the Black Rifle guys who left Kyle Rittenhouse behind. Terrible coffee as well. And you can also go into the jeffreyprather.com shop and get Prather private label, which is also stay brewed as well. So the physical holders of gold and silver were unharmed. The fundamentals remained unchanged. But those who fell to the fear porn of the market drop probably aren't the physical holders. And so this was just another manipulation. So, don't play the casino, own the house. The Friday Silver Smash was more than a market event. It was a psychological operations, a silver psyop aimed at the minds of investors. Its purpose was to test resolve, to harvest cheap assets, and to reinforce the illusion that paper price is reality. The best defense against such financial warfare is to refuse to play their game. Very important to understand that. Physical metal only, says High Cropman. So I am wondering where my guest is, and I'm going to see if I can reach out to him, because I know he confirmed. So bear with me here for a second. this occasionally happens, but he's been on the show before. We shall see. But I wanted to have his expertise to show, what was really happening there. Because again, Sean at SGT and Mike had disagreed with me extensively on this, and they both were calling this an execution of Preddy and murder, and it was certainly not murder, and it certainly wasn't an execution either as well. By the way, appreciate it if you can go to patreon.com/Jeffrey Prather and sign up at the $5, $15, or $25 level to support the show. You can see all my references there, or go to jeffreyprather.locals.com. $9 a month, $90 a year. And I'll see if I got an answer here from him. Don't know. Maybe not. Let's see. Just checking to see if there are questions. But again, I agree with Mike Adams' assessment, but about Trump and not hardly anybody else. Trump's chief of staff being outed as well. The former ambassador to Mexico impregnated and raping a child. This was all designed to slap Trump. But how much of this will come out? Because the conservative networks that operate normally, such as the Gateway Pundit, they'll never say anything nasty about Trump. So a lot of them will ignore all of that. This goes along with the ever-Trumpers who see Trump as a messiah. You really have to, and then the crowd that hate Trump will put all of this out and say all of it's true. That leaves the narrow independents. But it's good that we're seeing all this come out, and we are becoming aware of it and aware of how corrupt they all are. And to understand why they do this is when you have so much money and so many women and so much power, and you have no moral structure. Most billionaires are sociopaths from the study of that. Then what do you do next? And you just start flaunting your power in further ways to sin and crime. And what's more innocent than a child who has just come from God, a perfect soul that hasn't been corrupted, and how they can get away with it. Of course, what we've got to remember was, although there are reports being released and some photographs being released, there's also some video being released. There's a video of Trump chasing a couple of kids that are blacked out around the kitchen table. There's videos of all of this. All of this was videotaped, so they could be blackmailed, so they could be controlled. So if there is worse stuff out there, we could see more videotape coming to hammer Trump even further. But I'm not sure that there is. From what I'm seeing, the allegations and reports against Trump are not nearly to the extent that the allegations against many others are, such as Bill Clinton and George Clooney. And of course, these are things I've talked about, many, many times. And I've shown on many shows when I had two screens because of the house fire. I don't have two screens. I just have my laptop to operate. But when we get the new house, and the new house is coming along very nicely, I had shown that photo of Clooney and Obama on the back of a speedboat with a little Chinese girl with her mouth open. And they've said, oh yeah, that's a real photo, but that's Obama's niece. Well, so what that it's Obama's niece? In fact, I don't believe it. There's also photos of him cuddling with her in the White House. Why is the niece on her knees in front of Obama and Clooney, looking like she was just forced to gag on them? Jack Massey says there is a tape of Trump out there. I don't know who Jack Massey is, Earl Jackson, but yeah, like I said, there could be. And if Trump continues to forego further war with Iran, we would expect that the Mossad handlers inside the FBI will release more of that. How do you help wake up people? Ask them questions to help them think. You can ask them questions. Yeah. Oh, that's what you're saying. Ask them questions. Yes. Right. Yeah. Why is Trump doing this? Why did Trump bomb Iran? Yeah. Ask them questions. Get them started to think. Don't attack them. They have a lot of cognitive dissonance, and they just can't really believe that the level of espionage and sabotage that exists does, but it does. In fact, it is worse than most people understand at all. So I will actually try and give him a call.
Grossman on Truth. This is Robin. How may I help you?
Hey, Robin, this is Jeff Prather. I'm live on the air, and I'm still waiting on Dave.
Who is this?
Jeff Prather.
Oh, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing okay, but I was expecting Colonel Grossman to come on about a half an hour ago.
Uh-oh. Hang on a minute. I didn't know it was today. Hang on.
Yep, I sent out an email today.
Oh, sorry. They had appointments today. Give me
Okay.
a second here.
And you're
not here right now.
All right. Okay.
I don't see the email. Hang on a minute. I'm looking.
Well, that's okay. We'll have to reschedule, I guess. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, I guess I am not going to get Colonel Grossman on today. But again, he is the true expert. I've got all his credentials I was going to read off, but I guess we won't need to do that. But again, I wanted to do this because other libertary luminaries who are my friends and have great respect. In fact, Mike even sent me a signal recently saying, there's no former Fed that I respect more, but they just can't get past the point that Preti was executed or murdered because of the way the video looks. So to talk about this one more time, there's a whole bunch of physiological and psychological responses that happen in a zero-sum lethal force situation. And when Preti, who has been trained to be ICE resistor, not just watcher, they call them watchers, but they're actually participating. When you participate under 18 U.S.C. 111 and interfere with a federal officer or agent executing his duty, you are committing a felony for which you can go to prison and have extensive fines. You go to prison for a long time. So I talked about how all of my arrests were felony arrests. I never made one misdemeanor arrest, and I made hundreds, maybe thousands of arrests. As a result, because they were felony arrests, my gun was always out, either my handgun or my long gun, my submachine gun, my HK-73, or my EOTech or my Rock River AR, whatever, my shotgun, whatever. My gun was always out. And a couple times when they weren't surrendering fast enough, the muzzle came up on the suspects. And even one time my finger went in to the trigger well on my AR and my safety was coming off. Now, usually that's because they have a deer in the headlights look. They just don't know what is happening. But in this instance, they're in a heightened state. There's lots of whistles blowing. That is to overwhelm their auditory experience, which is what happened. Then they're wrestling with the guy. So their adrenaline is up. Then somebody calls gun. That heightens them even more. Then as the one agent takes the gun away, the SIG 320 fires. And it kind of goes off at an angle in his hands. And you see another agent, Flint. Either the slide went forward and it slam fired, which can happen with semi-automatics, or the agent depressed the trigger, the slide was already forward, or there have been serious incidents of the 320 firing on its own. Now, the first initial ones that came out about the Air Force guys were debunked. Those guys lied. But last week I put up a Patreon video, and usually it's just for my Point Patriots, but I did this one for everybody to see, just to give you an example. And as I explained this, I showed several video instances of 320s firing while holstered in uniformed police officers' holsters. Anyway, so when the 320 fires, that creates an even more enhanced startle response. The startle response is already happening because of the yelling, because of the whistles. And that's when the agent who has drawn his gun already fires his gun. So this is the Prather protector. It's got a barrel block in there. So there's nothing in there, you can see. But I'm going to check it again anyway. Look down the barrel, look down the magazine well, finger down the magazine well, finger down the barrel. No, there's nothing in there, nothing in the magazine. Let that slide go forward. And what happens with a passive trigger finger, which most everybody teaches except me, I teach an active bent trigger finger. If you can see the difference there, is this is what everybody teaches. This is what I teach. So there's pressure here until it goes in the trigger, or until you wrap it, because you're going to fight for the gun. You're going to do retention techniques. But what most people do is this, and I've seen this happen over and over because I've trained tens of thousands of folks. I used to video it because people didn't believe it happened. But while you're just on the range shooting, everything will be fine. But if you're moving and doing a lot of other stuff, like these guys were, if your finger is passive, it will eventually go into the trigger well. And then the startle response activated the trigger press, I believe, is what happened. Anyway, that's what I wanted Colonel Grossman to talk about today in greater detail, because I learned all that from him. I first trained with him in the military. They trained with him in law enforcement. Then I did a joint seminar where I got all of his books. He gave me a copy of all his books signed. He's a great guy. He's highly intelligent. His credentials are impeccable. He's got 5 patents, 2 children's books, 6 nonfiction books, and then his perennial bestseller, which anybody who's a professional warrior has read. If you haven't, then you aren't a professional warrior. That's On Killing, 500,000 copies sold. He's a ranger, paratrooper, former West Point psychology professor, black belt in Hojutsu, which is kind of funny because Hojutsu is a Japanese martial art of the firearm, but they do it in gis. I teach and founded handgun martial arts. It doesn't make sense to do it in gis. But he's been cited by the president national address, has testified before U.S. Senate, Congress, numerous state legislatures, served as an expert witness, consulted in state and federal courts, helped train mental health professionals after the Jonesboro massacre. He's written for the entry on the aggression and violence in the Oxford Companion to American Military History. I mean, just his credentials just go on and on. He's been on the show before, but I was hoping to get him on today, but he's a busy guy, kind of screwed up. Although, went through all the channels and he was happy to come back and see me again. But I really wanted to bring him on to explain that. He was also, we were going to have him comment on other things, although he appears to be very pro-Israel and pro-Iran, just from some of the other things he was saying. So that didn't happen. Hi, Craban. Yes, those 320s are known to fire on their own. Hi, Craban. I sure hope you get over your cold fast. This is just more than a cold. But thank you. Do you think Candace is a truth teller? Absolutely. Following Candace closely. Candace is doing something that really is changing, is turning the claymore because her audience is so big and she's activating them. She is really replacing the FBI, where she asks for folks to investigate. It's really, really impressive. So, yeah, I totally agree with Candace. Colonel Grossman doesn't like Tucker either, which is really surprising as well. Calling him the new Tokyo Rose, which just shows the intergenerational thing because he's an older guy. But I have huge respect for him, and really wanted to share that again because it's been a long time since he's been on. Yeah, so please feel free to ask me questions on Rumble. Why do law enforcement shootings by Middle Easterners, Asian, or Latino agents not get the media coverage and hype that Derek Chauvin, George Floyd received? Well, the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin shooting was part of a color revolution. So there's a lot of shootings all the time. The who shoots the most black people are DC cops who are all black, but not all. But I mean, most of the shootings of blacks are by black DC cops, just for example. But the George Floyd shooting was a designed operation. Both Chauvin and Floyd worked at the same nightclub. Floyd had recently been released from prison. I think the FBI got him out as an informant, looks like to me. The original traffic stop that initiates the Floyd Chauvin violence is over a $20 Chinese counterfeit US dollar, which was traced back to a seized ICE BP pallet of $250,000 in Chinese generated US currency. So I have worked on lots of task forces with local police, and I have worked with Secret Service. Secret Service are in charge of counterfeiting operations. And I can tell you that patrol officers have zero training in spotting counterfeit bills. So the initial stop is over a counterfeit bill. And then it goes into where he's kneeling on him, even though that's procedure. But this was all by design, and this was all hyped up. And so was all the hands up, don't shoot. I have actually, when I was the keynote speaker at the National Association of Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors, training event, which was a week-long training event. But on Friday, they all had to listen to me, and these were cops from all over the world who were firearms instructors. So first they're cops, then they're firearms instructors. So, big egos. And I chose the topic of bad shoots and how that was our fault. And so there was a controversial session, to say the least. But one of the things I showed was a real hands up, don't shoot of a white police officer shooting a black guy. And what happened was the white police officer, who was a veteran, so he had PTSD, was responded to the call. We're seeing the dash cam, and the first time he pulls up to the wrong place. It's some kind of 7-Eleven. And so, it feels late. And so he speeds up and he pulls in. And the black guy, who's an older black guy, is standing outside of his pickup truck with the door open. And because he was running late, he pulls up real close, real fast, hops out of his vehicle, and draws his weapon. The guy doesn't have a gun or anything. And he says, after a little bit of initial commands, is show me your ID. Well, the black man reaches into his pickup truck because, like me, if he's like me, which evidently he was, his ID is not in his pocket, it's in his truck. What's the white officer do? He shoots him a couple times. And then black guy falls down and says, "Why'd you shoot me?" He goes, "Because you reached for your something in your truck." And the black guy, "You told me to show me the ID." So that was a bad shoot of hands up, don't shoot. But the other ones that were put up were all fake, all of that as well. What he should have done is pulled up slower, farther away, and then got out of his car, stopped being in a hurry, and got some more information. But he had PTSD. He felt he was in a hurry. He could have stayed behind his car, on that side, not approached him, so not to close the distance, so there's no officer or lesser officer danger. And then said, "Where is your ID?" And then he would have said, "Well, it's in my truck. Can I get it?" And then it could have solved it, like that. So did that all day with these LEO FIs, and some of it was not well received, I will say, for that. You're a good example of being at peace with those who disagree with you. Well, I try and practice the Christic protocols. I try and really follow Yeshua, and I don't want to be a Christian in name only. What kind of pistol is that, Jeffrey? Well, that is the Prather Protector. So again, I'll drop the magazine, put it between my fingers so I have it if I need it. Lock the slide to the rear, cover the trigger guard. This is how I teach handgun martial arts, so nobody can get shot. My firing hand's off the weapon, look down the barrel, look down the magazine well, finger down the barrel, finger down the magazine well. So there's a barrel block in there. It's an orange block, so I can see it coming out the end. And there you can see right there, there's the orange, so you can't get around in there. And this weapon I designed by KleinTactical.com. When Danny Klein opened his business, he's a gunsmith, and he wanted me to do a little support endorsement video. And for doing the endorsement, he made me my ideal handgun. So this is a Glock, but it is a Glock 17 slide with a 26 frame, kind of like a commander's slide with an officer frame. So it's all teeth, very little tail. On the tip there is "We Answer," which is cool. HMAC motto, Handgun Martial Arts Center motto. On the barrel here is, can you see that? Is the HMAC motto, "We keep and bear arms." affirming our inalienable creator-downed rights, training in handgun martial arts, neither for sport nor competition, but for the refinement of the virtues of the citizen warrior, establishing justice, and always with the aid of divine providence, in defense of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then when divine providence calls, we answer is what we say. So this is kind of my ideal gun. So it's very concealable because it goes inside the waistband, but it is bobtailed here, so there is no printing. And then this is cutaways. You can do magazine changes. This is cut and filled in. The vertical grips are here to work with the handgun here. On the other side there, you can actually see it says Prather Protector. It's got an RMR red dot and suppressor sights on there as well. The rails here are well away from the barrel, so you can't put your hand over there. That's not how you should do it anyway. If you're going to check to see if you are charged, then you cover the trigger guard again, reach over and pull back, or you can even do it with one hand like I'm doing it there. And then proper grip is cut away here so I can get up way up on the gun and rest here. So lots of really nice features here so you can get a really nice firm grip. And then also the barrel is cut back here for a contact shot so that you can actually, if you're going to press this up against somebody and fire, it won't go out of battery and jam your weapon. So that's kind of my ideal gun because it can function as a duty gun and as a concealed gun. And this is the training gun I use when I'm teaching handgun martial arts every month online and Patreon. And you can join me and you can get the handbook and meet my other students across the country at patreon.com/Jeffrey Prather at the Point Patriot level. Plus you get training videos all day long. So there's a little advertisement. But I have lots of other guns as well. So sorry, bad questions. I don't know what is Candace security adequate? I don't know if it is. I hope it is. That's how I got into this. I was doing security for the Tea Party. They needed a security expert, and way back in the day. And so I started bodyguarding folks at their events. Tammy Bruce, Breitbart, Arpaio, McCain, all those. And then I started guesting as well. So now when I see the bodyguards at these other events, I'm like, hey, watch out. That's how I got started. And they kind of laugh. Does the Epstein release help America to regain any freedoms from Israel control? Yes, most certainly. So, I decided and Team America decided and the chaplaincy decided that this was our line in the sand. This was our hill to die on. That we were going to demand this. And because we prioritize child's life over intelligence agencies' reputations. And Yeshua said, for anyone who harms a hair on the head of one of these, they should be thrown into the sea with a millstone around their neck. So we have continued to fight for this, enforce this, and we are winning. And we are getting to see a much better look at how corrupt and evil these monstrous pedophiles, including Trump. Trump is no saint. Has Trump done a lot of good for America? Yes, certainly. Is Trump's presidency 1,000 times better than Pedo Joe's? Yes. But I was wrong in that Trump is in the Epstein files. Doesn't look like he went to the island. It all looks like I was right about that. There are allegations that he was measuring children's genitalia at Mar-a-Lago and then sending them over to Epstein's house nearby. Does that sound true to me? No, it does not. But does the Epstein release help America regain more freedoms from Israeli control? Yeah, because it's exposing how evil Mossad is, that they would use children. There's also, and I've said this before, but it came up. They flew in a couple little French girls that didn't speak English, twins that were like 8 or 12 as well. Walker 9mm. Yes, a Glock 17 and Glock 26 are both 9mm. You can tell by the model. Hi, Cropman. Nice pistol. How do you figure out if an online person is honest or not? What do you look for? So my discernment comes from the Ruach Kodesh, the Great Holy Spirit. But, I get fooled too all the time. I was just on X, had some photos of Trump up there that were AI fakes. Somebody told me about that. I asked pardon and said these are fakes. And I was just on was guest on somebody's show who turned out to be a really bad person. And I didn't really do any homework because I get lots of guest requests. But real quick, as the interview went, I could tell there was something wrong. But being in the spirit by dropping your ego and shutting down your thoughts, doing the kind of contemplative prayer we practice by becoming the prayer in silence in Christ Connection Chaplaincy at christchaplaincy.com is where you can get and learn good discernment. We do connection prayer, 5 minutes of silence at the beginning, kinetically, to receive the fruit of the gift of the Spirit, one of which is discernment, and at the end, which is deliverance. Other than that, there's also all kinds of behavioral techniques where guys, if you look up, you look down, look sideways, or they say no, or they say yes, or they're real nervous. Lots of techniques like that as well. But discernment is the best marker of that there, Ropo. Okay, I don't see any other questions there. I apologize for not being able to have Colonel Grossman on today, but I guess really, we've kind of covered that. But again, there was a lot of important stuff I covered today. The Epstein release looks like, about Trump and Trump's associates, looks like it was to blackmail Trump on refusing to go further with Iran. But I think that may backfire because I think Trump has gone along with Israel on everything. He did bomb Iran, just like they asked. And Trump is a counterpuncher. And Trump just may have had enough. So I think this may backfire on Israel. Now, more bad stuff can come out about Trump, more videos. Earl Jackson says somebody named Jack Maxey's got a video out there as well. We'll see. It would be good for people to see Trump as a flawed, sinning man, as opposed to either a demon or a messiah, because he is neither of those. And the more we see of the Epstein files and the horrendous, monstrous behavior of our so-called leaders, who are not better than us and they're not smarter than us, they're simply more ambitious than us, is all good. And okay, here's a question. Any suggestions on helping friends with PTSD? Yeah, you go through the VA with that, but again, you can join the chaplaincy, and we have a mentor-mentee program that will work with you, but there's a very successful technique that they are using, because I was talking about, somebody was asking me about how to tell when somebody is telling the truth or not, is eye movements. So when you're sleeping, you have REM sleep, which is deep sleep, but it stands for rapid eye movement sleep, where you're actually, your luminous body, your dreaming body is actually experiencing things. So there is a eye movement therapy technique that is working very well for trauma victims, including PTSD victims. And I think it's called directed eye movement. If you look it up, you can find it. But what it does is you recall that traumatic moment, and then you can begin to calm yourself through that. That is working very successfully. Also, mindfulness meditation, the same thing I teach my kids in the dojo, is zazen, shikantaza zazen, just sitting zazen, watching your breathing, is becoming very good. So hope that answers your question there, Walker. Any other questions before I wrap up? Also remember, troops around Beijing and troop carriers and tanks and lots of shooting going off may signal a civil war, which could push Xi into action in the Strait of Hormuz, along with Russia, against America. If I'm wrong about that, I've always said they won't go kinetic because their unrestricted war has done so well for them. But Xi's in trouble now. And tyrants have done stupid things all through history. Walker, thank you. AP Jonas, great show. Well, good. Great show for a guest who didn't show up. Yeah, well, I'm happy to talk to you guys if you have other questions, about other stuff. But anyway, the troops to Beijing may signal civil war because what are they going to be out there? That's repression. And Iran, Russia, and China are doing joint naval ops, Strait of Hormuz. That may be why Trump does not want to and is refusing to hit Iran again. Doesn't mean he won't in the future, and Israel's preparing to hit him anyway. But I'm happy that he's doing that. I'm proud that our president is not doing the bidding of Israel for once, and is not attacking Iran again. And then again, did SEAL Team 6 Dick Marchenko murder FBI agents in Mexico, according to the memorandums and message traffic that is being released. That again continues to erode the SEAL publicity myth that has come out. And then MOSAAD-KUSHNER-CHABAD LUBAVITCH running Trump, that makes total sense. I think that's legitimization and authentication of everything I've said for quite some times. Future ghost of CSM, facts and reality strikes again. Oracle first. Well, I'm not sure I know what that means. Serial rapist, pedophile, deviant, Zionist, technocrat owned puppet, big pharma daddy, warp speed, America's last pathological, lying, narcissistic, psychopathic man-child 2. Palantir first. Well, I try and stay away from insults. I don't like to receive them. I don't like to say them. I think it muddies the water. What I'm trying to do is be very fair and balanced, and saying that Trump is being punished via Mossad directing the FBI to expose his sins and crimes via the Epstein release, because he refused to do what they wanted him to do. That is bomb Iran again. And that's what Mike Adams thinks too. And so that's good. That means we are winning again. Miriam and Bibi first. So not in this instance, I don't think. And I think, again, this may backfire even further, because Trump may say, I've done all this for you, and now you turn on me like this. Okay. Because Trump is not a forgiving guy. He said that. He's not a Christian. He said that. He's a counterpuncher. So I am hopeful. I think this is good news for America. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Remember, we don't always win, although I think we are winning with this Epstein release. But we always learn more in defeat. And winning is difficult, demanding is always expensive in blood and treasure. We can and will win if we commit. The most committed wins. So define what you're willing to fight, kill, and die for. We are behind enemy lines in our own country against our own government. The faithful versus the fakes. Reset versus resistance. Parents versus pedos. God is not with us, but we are with God, or at least try to be to the best of our ability. Tyrants always fall. Tyranny always fails. Graphene is not in our DNA, but freedom is. But freedom is never given. It is earned, won, fought for, and taken. So, take it.